So welcome everybody to the April 13th, 2015 ECHO and AT session. Today we'll be going over and having a presentation by Darcy Regan on the Pragmatic Organization Dynamic Display, the pod books, followed by, we are really excited, a case presentation by ARC Regional Services. So specifically Mary, who's joined us for quite a while, and Casey, who's our new member, and then looks like an entire team of individuals from the ARC. So we are so excited for today's session. We also have a couple of new states who are joining us and new state teams who are joining us. So we'll spend some time at the beginning like we normally do doing introductions. So I'm Canyon Hardesty. I'm the Coordinator of Community Education here at WIND and your facilitator for the ECHO and AT session.
I'm Wendy Alameda. I'm the Assistive Technology Specialist and Project Coordinator for Water.
Felicia Arce, AT Specialist for WIND.
I'm Giselle Knopf, AT Associate.
IT guy.
Darcy Regan, Speech Language Pathologist.
Connie Clement, Special Ed and TBI for Albany County School District number 1.
Great, so we will go to ARC. Casey, do you want to unmute yourself and introduce your group?
I'm Mary Ginzel, occupational therapist at ARC.
I'm Casey DeMarendal, and I work in education at ARC.
JD Shaw, I'm client services manager for the young man we will be talking about today.
Perfect.
I'm Haley Hoopendick. I'm a planning coordinator here at the ARC.
Chris Whiplamo, I'm the therapy coordinator at the ARC.
Shirley Pratt, President and CEO.
Great. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. We'll go ahead to the group in Montana.
Where are they?
I think she got it to unmute her line.
Which one is she?
Far right left, top.
There?
Yep.
Okay.
So, is Montana there?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Absolutely.
Hi, it's Julie Durner. I'm the clinic coordinator for the state AT program.
Great. Nice to see you again, Julie. And how about Lori?
It's Colleen and Stacy, and they both have jobs in the community, so they're going to try and make it if they can.
Perfect. Great. Well, when they do, let us know when they come in. We'd love for them to be introduced to the group. Go ahead, Ashley.
Oh, no.
Wasn't sure if you said Kimberly, but I'm Kimberly from Oklahoma Able Tech. I'm AT teacher and teacher of the visually impaired.
And celebrity of WIND. So I think, as everybody knows, we were putting in Kimberly's expertise, and we love that she's now joining the ECHO community. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Megan.
Megan. Hi, I'm Megan Thomason, and I'm a teacher of the deaf, joining from Cody, Wyoming.
Sorry about the mispronunciation.
That's okay.
Megan. Casey and Barb, and it looks like, I think Carrie may be in the room.
Casey Widhelm, case manager and AT coordinator here at Fremont County School District 1.
Carrie Paulson, case manager at the Lander Middle School and Pathfinder.
And Barbara Lott, project coordinator for, excuse me, water.
Great. Go ahead, Jane.
Jane Corsten, and I'm a speech language pathologist and AT resource from Kansas City.
And Mary Peterson.
Hi, I'm Mary Peterson. I am an assistive technology specialist for an intermediate school district 917, which is in the South Metro of St. Paul, Minneapolis area.
Great. Thanks so much for joining us today. Kirsten.
I'm Kirsten Doubles. I'm the Assistive Technology and Universal Design for Learning Specialist at the Minnesota Department of Education.
Katie Harmon.
Hi, I'm Katie Harmon, and I'm the AT coordinator for School District Number 2, and I'm also a resource teacher in elementary.
I'm glad you're able to join us today. And then the last little person that you'll see on there will remain without a video because we've joined from a separate computer. As you guys can see, we're having troubles with our video input here from the University of Wyoming. So we have a backup computer that's joined and we'll be presenting off of that. So it's probably because I've talked so highly of the Zoom platform in the last 2 weeks, it wanted to prove me wrong. So thank you, technology. Does anybody have any announcements? Well, Hannah came in the room late. Hannah, do you want to give them your good news? Can I give them your good news? So we have been fortunate enough to work with Hannah Young. She's one of our, I'm counting her as our student. She's really a student of Mary Jo's. But Hannah has accepted and is going to Penn State next year to do the AAC amazing things that are done at Penn State. We're going to keep a little rope on her, though, so we can make sure that she comes back to Wyoming. But we're so proud that Hannah has gotten into school and that we've had the benefit of working with her for the last 3 or 4 months. So Thank you. Congratulations. Any other cool announcements? Okay, then we'll go ahead and we'll turn over the floor to Darcy to talk about the pod books before we go to our regional services to present our case.
Oh, there you go. Okay. My name is Darcy Regan. I'm a speech language pathologist, and I work here at Wyoming Institute for Disabilities, and I'll be presenting on pod book. POD stands for Pragmatic Organization Dynamic Display. Yeah. Wasn't working at first. Oh. Don't have any relevant financial or non-financial disclosures today. And my name's Darcy again, in case you're wondering. Today's learner outcomes are to understand aided language acquisition, to understand how to use alternative access with the pod, learn how to write goals with the pod. Let's go ahead and activate our data so you can show them. Sorry guys, I decided to that we kill our video feed so you don't have to watch us flicker the entire time, but I will turn Oh, that's cool. Okay. So the pod books are a way of categorizing whole word vocabulary into a dynamic screen, a dynamic book. So it's going to change levels as you go. Doesn't want to forward. Get stuck. So this might be a good time. I'm going to talk about some different kinds of pods. Your pod book can come in a one-page layout, can also come in a two-page layout. So for example, on your one-page layout,
Darcy, you have to face this camera.
It's right here. It's on the.
Oh, okay.
No, it's on the laptop. Talk to the laptop.
Well, you have a 16-grid pod. You can go all the way up to 100 pod. And here on the two-page layout, I've got a 40 keyword pod. So you have it set 2 pages in the layout, and obviously it's a lot thinner. So the goal of your pod book is to be able to say what you want to say to whoever you want to say it to, and say it whenever you want to say it, as well as understanding what other people are speaking. Pod books more closely imitate spoken language than any other communication aid available. Pod books are efficient because they have what is considered a predictive vocabulary, meaning if you start with your pragmatic branch, such as more to say, it'll have a number 2 down below, which tells you, go to your second page. So your more to say is like initiating communication. Sometimes individuals might wear a little bracelet on their hand, and they'll start with more to say, okay? And you're gonna go to page 2. It's time for, I'm asking a question, I'm telling you something, let's go. It really bridges that communication gap into your different pragmatic functions. Just like any other system, your pod's going to go everywhere with you. You might wear it in a shoulder sling. You might have it spread across the classrooms because, like Dr. Heidecker talked about, with aided language, you might want to set up a little pod display in your block area, pod display in your kitchen area, because these little boogers, especially those preschoolers, you're going to be chasing around the classroom. Instead of chasing after them with that pod book, you've got your aided language display in each of the centers. Now, pods have a smart partner operating system. And what I mean by that is you can tell with an individual who's using the pod which of these symbols are just resting their finger on and which they're depressing. Unlike higher tech devices, if you just run your finger accidentally across the images or the symbols, it's going to speak that image aloud. And also, you as a communication partner can troubleshoot the pod. Not that you're going to need to troubleshoot it much, but you're not going to need an IT person here to troubleshoot things like you would with a high-tech device. Pods were developed to enable aided language stimulation at any time in order to support autonomous communication. We talked a little bit about the quick chat vocabulary. Again, you're going to have different page layouts depending on the pod that you're using. And you're also going to have these navigational indexes on the bottom of your book. So for example, when I had started with the more to say, and I went to page 2,
hold your book up higher.
That tells you to go to page 2. Now you're going to want to turn the pages for the communication user to begin with, because you don't want them to get so slowed down in the navigation. And if somebody wants to flip through all the book, you're going to give them access to all the book at one time. Don't just limit them to the first couple pages of the book, because they're going to want to see what's in there. But you're also going to want to be careful that they're not going to skim on a certain page. Now I want to talk about some differences between POD and PECS. PECS is a highly behavioral approach. It follows a stimulus response format, whereas with your POD book, you're co-constructing messages together. It has more of an input from the communication partner because you're creating that shared communication context. Now both PECS and POD, you can use board maker symbols. PECS has their own symbol set, but I'm not saying that PECS isn't a bad place to start. A lot of folks use PECS, and it does go past some initial requesting where you're actually discriminating some symbols and using some modifiers within PECS. Now PECS does have a lot of research out there. POD's beginning to get research, so it's well on its way. Now, the good thing with these POD books are, if you're using that PECS symbol, say for example you have the help symbol in your PECS book, can be Velcroed on there, and somebody moves the help symbol the next day. And the kid goes and gets his textbook, and then he wants to say help, but it's not there. Somebody moved it. So he just lost his way to ask for help. Instead, it might say clap. The pod, your symbols always stay in their place. Now, pre-stored messages are great. Again, you might have some of these around the classroom, but it only includes that vocabulary that was anticipated for the activity. For example, these vocabulary items here in this display don't include things that the kiddo might want to say because this is what was chosen for them. So the pod has more vocabulary options than pre-stored messages do. And again, I'm not discouraging pre-stored messages. They're a great way to take that initial data. Okay, think about this for a minute. We're going to talk about early development in AAC. So, picture a 6-month-old baby, right? They're kicking their legs, they're moving around, they're learning the movements for communication. But when someone with a complex communication need with multiple physical impairments is starting to learn AAC, we become overprotective about our data. We're trying to take data that they move their arm this way or that way and this way and that way. And we are just exploring. We're not sitting taking data on a 6-month-old child saying, he kicked his leg correctly 6 out of 10 times. I think sometimes we can't give up on giving that aided language, and we become too worried about interpreting and thinking that these individuals that are using AAC have to produce clear movements right away. So we're always giving that aided language input. We wouldn't stop talking to a baby if they didn't say anything. No, we want to keep providing that input. We want to learn to respond to all communication as meaningful. We are providing the building blocks for them to become competent communicators, and we're going to presume competence that anybody can communicate. True communication is about something we don't already know. We want them to communicate about something in their head, about a topic that we haven't chosen for them, or something that is of high importance to them. Now, it's very rare to be truly immersed in an aided language environment. And therefore, what is happening is oftentimes the individual who's teaching AAC is just speaking, only speaking to that AAC user. But what they're speaking is not matching the symbol, right? So consequently, this user is going to have to learn how to problem solve a system that they've never seen modeled. That's why we have to speak and we have to touch the symbols that correspond to what we're speaking within our pod book. It's like teaching somebody to drive. We wouldn't expect somebody to learn how to drive without showing them how to drive. We need to show these individuals how to use aided language. Now, oftentimes these complex communicators are juggling multiple sensory, language, and cognitive deficits, and we can't wait forever for these things to develop in a coordinated fashion. Otherwise, we're going to be waiting forever. We've got to step in and start teaching right away. For example, look at this little cartoon here, somebody who's using switch scanning on their AAC device. She's using her self-talk. She's looking at me. What can I say? Keep hand off switch. Got it. I'll tell her it's cool. She's scanning through. She's looking for her pronoun. Keep hand off switch. Looking. Where's pronoun? Okay, got it. Is she still waiting? Yep. Okay, start up. Stretch arm. Touch switch. Oh no. Lean back. Head. Middle up. Sit up. Watch it. Column 1. Hand away. Column 2. That's it. Quick. Stretch arm. Touch switch. Watch for it. Look for eye, hand away. Here it comes. Get ready. What's she saying? Missed it. She missed her automatic scan. Darn it. Start again. Now, what was I saying? Oh, she's gone. Teacher's already left. That's why we need to do partner-assisted scanning. With the partner-assisted scanning in the pod book, though the alternative access CD is not developed yet, the communication partner can show, point, or speak the names of the items. You can have visual scanning, where the child's just going to rely on the visual recognition of symbols. The communication partner scans by pointing to the symbols with a finger or light without verbally labeling the symbols. You can have just purely auditory scanning. I've got a nice 2-page, nice and clean auditory scanning pod. I had a student that was blind with complex communication needs who used his auditory scanning pod, and he just waits to listen to the pragmatic branch he wants. Or oftentimes you're going to have visual and auditory, so you're going to point to and read the label on the symbol, okay? And what's going to happen is either you're going to teach a yes or a yes and a no. Now, in the recent pod training, they're saying, let's just teach the yes, okay? Because the individual becomes more active. And with that, they're going to wait until they hear the symbol they want, and they give a yes, okay? So individuals may not have a perfect yes right. So you're going to use these little items to teach them the yes or the yes and the no. So they're going to wait. Something's wrong. Think it. Yes. They might have a head switch. You probably are going to have to do the switch to start with because they're starting to learn those movements for communication. And eventually you'll back away and you'll back off the switches once they have clear yes and no's. I'm going to skip some of these slides because I want to get to a couple more clear points here, okay? This is an easy trap to fall into. I've done it to myself a million times. The thing to take away is we don't want to ask yes or no questions. These pod books aren't, do you want to go swimming? Yes or no. Do you want to go outside? Yes or no. That's just agreeing with what somebody else has chosen for you. Instead, you're going to be saying outside, recess, gym. You're going to be giving options to the student. What happens is a lot of individuals that are teaching AAC, especially in the classroom, are making it all classroom talk. And so what are these AAC users doing? They're just learning to comply. They're learning to ask questions. Okay? That's only one of many pragmatic functions there are. I suggest using this pragmatic profile as a way not only to write your goals, but as a way to track your progress over time. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to write your goals so that you're showing an increase over your baseline. Okay? Goals that say, we'll request snack time in 4 out of 5 opportunities are hard because what if that kid's not hungry at the snack table? You want to provide a separate option for them too, okay? For example, now I love my cake, I love my cookies, my chocolate, my coffee, but you know, maybe I don't want any of them right now. So you would have, Darcy, do you want cookie, cake, chocolate? None of these. Yes, none of these. Or cookie, cake, chocolate, something else. Yes, something else. Let's always give them a choice. Now, adolescents, again, they become very passive in the classroom because you're only answering questions. This is just compliance. And if you think about it, we write these turn-taking goals, but many of the true communication turns are non-obligatory. How many times have we sat around in our adult discussions and hadn't had to comment on every little thing a person was saying? And to think about those appropriate uses of pragmatic. So we love our language samples. Language samples are great for pod books. Increasing pragmatic functions are great. We can say that a child will increase from 2 to 3 pragmatic functions. They'll show beginning interest in their pod books. We'll take tallies for our data. Here's the opportunities that the pod book was presented. Here are the types a child attended. Well, what did they look like when they attended? Well, they looked at the book. They vocalized. They'll increase the pragmatic functions, asking questions, expressing opinions, protesting, complaining, request cessation, stopping, starting. They're going to ask questions. They're going to tell a story. They're going to instruct assistants and pretend play. Again, we love the language samples, so they're going to use 3 to 4 words. They're going to start out by maybe saying a multi-word, a 2-word sentence. They're going to do it spontaneously, and then they're going to do a 3-word sentence. Choices, they'll indicate a choice. Here's another great goal, including 3 toys, foods, or a final choice of something else or none of these will indicate choice through a partner scan. Here again is your tally sheet. Here's the opportunities for choices presented. Here's the number of times they made their choice. And I'll end here with just an example. Gail Porter and Linda Burkhart have lots of goal examples and IEP objectives on their site, which is in your PowerPoint. And you're taking a detailed language sample. You're writing what the pod user is doing, and you're writing what the communication partner is doing. And the biggest thing to take away is it does take time, and I know there's no clear and fast answer to how long it'll take with the pod, and I think that's sometimes a drawback. I think, yes, we do need our data, and a lot of times, you just say, keep using the pod. It's going to take time. That's a part of your dynamic assessment. You want to look at those pieces that are working or not working. If an individual has cortical visual impairment, maybe we need to tweak a few of the colors. It's, the black background and neon lettering is okay, but maybe, that individual has luck with just plain white symbols. So you want to tweak what you're doing, but you also want to start high. You can start with a 9-symbol pod for a preschooler or emergent communicator. You can go all the way up into your complex syntax pods with the 100-symbol. You can put it all around your classroom. You want to just be using it and taking it everywhere. And it's not like the iPad or device where, it goes in the toilet and there she rolls. The pods are going to stand up to get thrown across the room. And, it's going to take a little effort ahead of time to make. But I love pod. I highly recommend anyone, if they haven't already, to attend a pod training. They do have a lot of potential, and I think this is the way the future is going to come here. Communication.
Great. What questions do people have? How many individuals on the call have used pod? 1? How many are now interested in potentially using pod?
Well, let me add some comments about it. What I like about the communication books that make it easy are the index tabs. And the index tabs can have words on it, can have pictures, or have both. And so, because when I do regular communication books, it's hard to remember what page things are on. It's hard for the partners and the consumer to know. So I like that part. The other thing I really like, I'm really waiting for pods, is I'm not willing to give up my voice output. And so they're supposed to be coming out with software, right?
Oh, yeah, they have.
In Dynabox?
Yes.
So Dynabox is supposed to have a pod option.
They do.
They do now?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it yet.
Oh, yeah, they do. However, it's not the same layout as the books. It can't be the same layout. So I wonder how easily that transfers from somebody who's using a book to high tech. I've seen it on the listserv but I wonder how easily it transfers. It just can't be the same layout.
I don't know. It would seem that there's got to be a way to do it in a way that gives people a voice. So that, again, you know, to have to rely on your partner long term is a drawback to me unless we can get it turned to voice output.
Right. Mary, it looks like you have a question. Mary Peterson.
Yeah, hi. See, I have a parent that's said that the pod on the Maestro with Dynavox is very similar to the pod books, but then the pod on the Compass is not similar. So, do you know about that?
No, but we'll have to look into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Pod Maestro versus Pod Compass.
But they don't make the Maestros anymore, so that's the issue that we're having.
Great. Well, it's good to hear that there's some feedback. What has the parent told you about? I mean, obviously that they're similar to the pod, but which have they had success with?
Well, they had success with the Maestro. So the parent is looking for a used Maestro and then programming the Maestro with the pod that's similar to the book. So she doesn't really want to go with the one that is on the Compass app.
They do have the Grid 2 pods within the Grid software as well. Haven't done much with that though either, except for on iGaze a teeny bit. Grid 2 software out of the UK. But I've been waiting for months for the alternative access CDs to be developed. I've tried to, I mean, really, because what you could do is do column row scanning, obviously, with the way the pods are working right now, but we found that it's just not set up the way that I think the alternative access CD should be set up. I've tried modifying it to, well, this was sort of a beta pod where we, you know, for even a beginning communication partner, it's good because they're not going to get too overwhelmed with just your one symbol. Do you guys see how this is?
No, I think you're looking at it a little bit more.
There you go.
A one symbol pod there. So each symbol is its own page, and then it has its instructions on the bottom where it says, okay, if they give a yes, do this. If they give a no, do this. Like, yes, respond to message. No, turn the page. So you're flipping through living room, work. These aren't the pragmatic branches, but for example, you would have it go, something's wrong. Think it. I want. Go somewhere. And then they go, yes. And then where do you want to go? Living room, you know, that kind of thing. But I don't know that Gail and, well, I know Gail and Linda haven't released this book. And I don't know, I think they want you to quickly move away from this one symbol book and go to at least 9 or 12.
And did you talk to them about the CDs that have all these pods on them?
Nope.
So Boardmaker is selling them in the United States, right?
Yeah.
And so you can start with step-by-step books, and I don't know if we've got it here at Water yet. We have it here, don't we, in Water? The CD.
Oh yeah.
So that you can get all these different sizes of pod books, and my lab has made, I don't know, 7 or 8, 9, 10 of them with different sizes. So from big pictures down to smaller pictures, some that are for more partner assisted, and some are for more independent. So you can start off with Boardmaker files that are aimed at preschoolers or aimed at school-age kids or aimed at adolescents, and then you've got a starting point, and then you can modify from there. So you don't have to start doing this from scratch. which is challenging. So you want to, if you're going to do a pod book, I think you're going to want to use existing templates to work from.
Great. Other questions or thoughts, maybe experience that you guys want to share? Anything, Darcy, Mary Jo, that you guys want to add? So yeah, I mean, Water Here has helped make pod. We are willing to help out if that is of interest to individuals. You know, we do have to charge some fee for some of the materials, but you know, I know that Darcy's worked with several school districts across the state. You know, so that if there's interest and individuals want to try it, you know, contact Darcy directly, and we can figure out what kind of support that we can provide if this is of interest. Okay. Well, with that being said, if there are no more questions, we'll turn it over to Mary and Casey over at ARC Regional Services to present Echo Case ID 9656.
Okay, can you hear us? Yes, we are unmuted. Okay.
Absolutely.
Great.
And I apologize, I'm going to have to interrupt. I need to figure out who one person is on the line. The title is Lori. Lori, we're going to unmute you. Would you be willing to tell us who you are? And
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
This is Lori. I'm the closed captioner. I'm just captioning everything that's being said.
Oh, thank you so much. I had this huge concern that we were going to talk about the case and it was going to be for Star Tribune. So I'm
sorry. Yeah, when it logged me in, I should have put Lori captioner.
Oh, that's okay. I just got a little scared. So thank you for your
mystery.
Okay. Now that the fears of, you know, this being broadcast to whomever are alleviated, I will turn it back over to Mary and Casey.
Hi, thank you so much for letting us join you today. We have an interesting case for you, I think, to present. So I'm going to give a little background about the person, and then Mary's going to take over and talk about some specifics, but we're really just looking for your advice. Of course, we have assembled here this person's, a nice part of this person's team. He is an adult. He utilizes a wheelchair for mobility, and he is a great reader. He is a great communicator in some ways, but we really are looking for some advice about how to, we've been teeing up on this phrase, repairing his communication. I think we could serve him better. So let me give you a little bit of the background about this person, and I know you have some stuff from the case in front of you, but here's some real specifics that I think you might find interesting, and you might find maybe different about this case than some of the other cases you've been presented with so far this semester. This person is, he lives in a group home setting. So he lives currently with 5 other gentlemen. One of the things that we find so interesting about this group home environment, and probably a little bit tricky, is because of the nature of the number of people that live there, the diverse needs of everyone who lives in this environment. This person has about 15 to 20 different staff people who come in and out of his life just in his home, just where he lives throughout the week. In addition to that, he has about another 15 people or so who come in and out of his life during the week as staff people during the day at different places he receives services. So there's a couple different things he does. He takes classes with us in our education program. He is at our equestrian center a little bit. And so already we're at about 30 people just affiliated with ARC that come in and out of this person's life. So he has a lot of staff involvement. And I think one of the things that was so interesting that JD pointed out when we were talking about this person to get ready to present to you, was the idea of another challenge might be is this real longevity we have, or lack of longevity, I should say, of staff. So we wanted you to know, we thought it was important that you know that probably a majority of those people, so those 30 plus people that come in and out of his life every week and are assisting and supporting him and working with him, there's a really good chance that at least 50% of them won't be in his life 6 months from now or a year from now. So we have staff turnover that faces us predominantly because our workforce is part-time and transient, predominantly because of the university. But that really, I think, is an important factor to know about him as we search for tools that can help him be a better communicator and live life more fully. We thought that might be important for you guys to know as far as who might be assisting him with these devices or this information or any sort of technology that we might implement. We wanted you to know that he, like I said, he is a reader. I really don't know at what level he reads at. It's been a long time since he's been in the public school system, so I don't know what he reads at, but I know he reads. He writes some notes occasionally to me if he can't be understood, or to all of us, I think. He has a great memory. He is, Mary referred to him as like the walking planner. You know, he like knows dates and times and people and where he's supposed to be 3 months from now at 8 o'clock on Tuesday. And he has a great mind and a great memory. And I think having to do with that, he operates really well within a structure. He likes a real structured environment. I think that has challenged him as well, because I think he's so rigid in that way of thinking, probably for a variety of reasons, that I think change will not come easy to him. I think he'll be challenged by anything, and has been, I think, challenged by anything we've tried to assist him with or implement as far as assistive technology goes. Sorry, I need my glasses. I think the great thing to recognize too is that he really wants to be less frustrated when he communicates with people. And I think he wants to have less staff involvement in his communication. I think because of the nature of his life and the support structure he's lived in throughout his adult life, I think that he has become very accustomed to staff people who are assisting him talking for him. I think we could all agree that it's very common if he's trying to tell you something and you can't understand him, and he's having difficulty communicating that, he will come up to the next available staff person and say, tell her what I said, tell her. You know, so he's very accustomed to, he wants to be heard, he wants to get information across, but I think that has been frustrating for him over the years because he's so dependent on staff people to help him communicate. On the other hand, I think he would like to do without that. I think he would experience a lot less frustration if we could assist him in some way. I think it's important to know, too, that he does have a really supportive team. Like, I think we all are, is a supportive family. We are all interested in helping him to do this. So I think we're willing to take those steps. It's that sort of transient workforce that might have not a lot of longevity with our program that is challenging for him and for us, I think. I mentioned that change will challenge him. I think that anything we want to assist him with, I think we'll have to have a rather immediate payoff. JD, I think you had mentioned it. He's not somebody who's going to work towards something for 6 or 8 months in order to feel that this has made a difference in his life. Like, somehow the payoff is going to have to be immediate for him to want to engage in any sort of assistive technology outside of the wheelchair that he already uses. I also think it's probably worth a mention that he is we do not have the funding often to support him as an organization with this. And I think some of the items for him personally are very cost prohibitive. So he does own an iPad, and Mary's going to talk about that in just a second, but some of the devices and some of the apps and those things, I think that's going to be really challenging for him as far as income goes. And I know that his family is very supportive of that, but I think that they also want to see a payoff in some ways before they will invest a lot of money in something that's going to serve him. So I'll let Mary talk about some other additional things, and then we'll all converse, I guess.
Okay. I wanted to talk about some things we've been doing. He had an iPad to begin with. I guess last fall ran into him, and he had co-writer that a staff person had put on his iPad, but he really wasn't using it. And I thought, well, with the word predictor, maybe there would be something. So we've been trying to work with that a little bit. We also, I guess to maybe explain a little bit, he will say, he kind of gets stuck on a subject where he wants to tell everybody. The example when we started doing this was he was getting glasses in 2 weeks. So he was trying to tell everybody that he ran into that he's getting glasses in 2 weeks. And it would have to go through this 15, 20-minute thing of trying to get all of that out before people would figure out, oh, he's getting new glasses. And so, but he very much wants to be a verbal communicator. And so we're trying to find ways to maybe help him when he gets to that point where he's stuck on a word and somebody's not understanding the word, to help him be able to express what that is. And so co-writer was one we thought with the word predictor in there, he could maybe use that somehow, because he does do some writing, and he will sometimes pull out a pad of paper and try to write the word, but his spelling is not always right on. Another one that we've tried is a speech soundboard. And so we set up buttons for him on there. So if he wants to go to Wendy's, his favorite restaurant, to order, the order could already be set up ahead of time on there, and then he can hit the button when he gets there. Or if it's something about the glasses he's trying to tell someone, staff could before in the morning when he's getting around or at breakfast or something, help him to put in there that he wants to tell people about his glasses or new glasses, and then he can tell them the rest, but maybe at least get some words in there. And with the speech soundboard, he could hit the button and it would at least give maybe those words that he was getting stuck on. So we had kind of set that up for him, but he's had that, I don't know, we kind of talked about that with him a month or two ago. And it sounds like he just kind of falls back into his same routine and is not real interested in pulling out the iPad to do those kinds of things. In fact, it sounds like he's not always carrying it with him. So we have that challenge too of how to motivate him to want to do this and to use that as a repair. So I guess what we're looking for is some recommendations of the most efficient, easy way to help him repair those places when he gets stuck trying to talk. And is it best done through apps? Is it best done through a dedicated device? And then how do we motivate him? And so I guess those are our big questions. So we'll throw that back to see what you guys think.
Great. So let's go ahead and start. Go ahead, Jane.
Accidental handwriting. By the technology. I have to tell you, I know this guy.
I worked for quite a few years in the assisted living in Kansas City. And we had a gentleman, and I'll just call him Bill, and it just sounds like you're absolutely talking about him. So I'll share with you what we did and, and how it worked, and it may give you ideas or be a starting place for him. He would come up and he would just start talking to you and had a lot to say, but nobody could understand what he was saying. And the trade-offs, you know, when you're talking about the technology and you're saying, you know, he doesn't want to carry things around with him and all, and that is always a challenge, because I think that this guy would go into a setting wanting to communicate verbally, so he would never carry stuff with him. And then when he wasn't successful and things started breaking down, everybody's scurrying for something. So what we did was go through and make a series of topic cards for him, because what we found was if you just knew the topic, if you just knew about what he was talking, you could get into the conversation. It helped with his intelligibility, and it also helped you know what questions to ask, you know, if you weren't clear. And so what we did on the first round, and we made it in a wallet, because then it was always in his pocket and he could pull it out. So he'd come up and start talking to you. And, you know, he can be immediately successful with this, maybe, but while you're working on iPads and apps, which are more to carry, which people have to learn to program. You know, we always think that technology is better, but not necessarily. And so he could pull that wallet out. He'd come up and start talking, and you would say, I'm sorry, I'm missing something. And he would pull that out. And in the first round, they used photographs. But they made photographs of him in the different settings. So there was a picture of him next to the pop machine. And when I would go over, he and I would split a Dr. Pepper if he brought it up. So, you know, but if he came up and said that to me, I might or might not understand it, but he could open it. The first mistake was putting him in all of the pictures, because it was a photo album for him. And he would come up and he thought he was a good looking guy, and he was, and he'd just show you pictures and get excited about that. And so the first revision we had to make was to take him out of those pictures. So it was a picture of the pop machine, a picture of 7-Eleven, picture of Walmart, you know, the places he went, because the sports teams, because if he showed you the Chiefs, you would know, and you could say, oh, did you watch the game last night? Or are you going to watch the one tonight? You know, it gave you what you needed to carry on the conversation. As you were talking about this gentleman, I thought, you know, not only topics, but then if there were an alphabet in there, he might be able to spell something if he, you know, or at least close enough that if it weren't represented in the topic cards, he'd be able to generate that idea that would be the topic. So in doing that, we were looking at how we could collect the data on those things. And I just, as you were listening, kind of generated a list, because I think to know whether or not it's helping him, you know. So one thing, talking about against baseline, his intelligibility, if you just took, let's just say, 10 interactions today, and he was not successful in X number or was successful in X number, and then you put that system in place, does the success of his interactions go up? Looking at the length of exchanges, the number of exchanges he has with an individual on a topic, because if they get that clue, can they maintain a longer interaction with more exchanges than they did before when it was just verbal? Because a lot of times if it's verbal and the listener doesn't understand, we have a tendency to bail out, you know, and go, yeah, that's great or something, and we don't really give them more time. Of course, his preference, you know, how's this working for you? And that might include a frustration self-rating. You know, asking him at the beginning, how frustrating is it when you're trying to interact? And then getting this in place, and as he gets more comfortable with it, asking him at a few intervals, you know, what his frustration index is then. And also maybe the average time for him to get his message across might be another, you know, idea. If you set that up, you know, one thing I know about the technology is it always breaks. At some point it does. You've got an immediate backup system, but it's also going to give you the information you need in order to know what apps will be most beneficial to him. If you look at how this works and what refinements, is his spelling good enough that putting in word prediction isn't going to give him that big of a bang for his buck? That might not be a key piece of an app you would need or something like that. So those are the things that we did with that. And one of the topics that you might want to include is his comments on relevant things around the house or around where he lives, which would include things like staff turnover. So, because that was something you mentioned. And so being sure that there's a place where he could comment on that, because whether he wants to say, I really miss that person, or, boy, I'm glad he got out of here, whatever. You knew he was talking his comments, whereas if he just made the comment, it might or might not be understood. So those are just ideas.
Good. Thank you. That's great. Thank you very much. That's awesome.
Other ideas, suggestions, Mary Jo?
So I love all Jane's ideas, but let's give you some more. And this for him, but it may also be an interesting class for art. Are you guys familiar with Route 66 reading?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, so Karen Erickson at Chapel Hill has done a reading program for adolescents and adults with low literacy kinds of things, and it's all available online. And so to increase his reading and writing skills, since that seems to be how he prefers to do his communication breakdown repairs, might be interesting just in general. And we can send you the link and you take a look at it and see what you think of it as a program.
I think, sorry to interrupt you, I recently met Dr. Erickson. And so I think I know the link you're talking about. I think I know where to go to find that. But yeah, she was amazing. So I would be interested in what she had to offer.
Yeah, so David Copenhaver and worked together to create an evidence-based project to help literacy often for our adults with developmental disabilities that didn't get enough literacy instruction in school. And so they've got this program to run online that just requires a interested adult to help. So you don't have to have any degrees to help with helping individuals work through this if they need access. So,
and I would also just go ahead and add, this is the same person that we were so excited about finally making a connection with when we were talking about the courses with the ARC, is that we finally have a really great reason to invite Dr. Erickson to Wyoming.
Oh, good.
So
let's do that.
Let's do that. Done. We'll do that.
Okay, and then the other thing I was thinking about, I don't know enough about Wyoming telecommunication access program, but I know in Arkansas we could get texting phones. So we get him a texting phone, so he doesn't carry his iPad around. He can text and repair by texting something onto the screen and showing you. So I don't know if he'd like a phone, how well it would work with Wyoming's access program. I don't know enough about it yet, but I do know we could do that in Arkansas's telephone access program. So we surely can do it in Wyoming.
Absolutely.
And then I think we're looking, if we're going to iPad apps or dedicated devices or whatever, it's word-based apps that we want. So things that give him his communication. If we don't want to do it low-tech, like Jane was suggesting, topic cards that carries along with him, if we get something interesting in the iPad that he really wants to use, so can we put in like a word, there's a word power, so it's text-based, word-based AAC, we could put the topic cards in there, etc. It's, again, just whether or not he's going to have it is the downside. And I would think if it's AAC related and we do the AAC about, we go in for Medicaid to pay for these things if we show a need. And then if Medicaid turns us down, we appeal Medicaid. Darcy and I were just on a conference webinar last week where we were talking about the funding situation in the United States with Medicaid, Medicare, and insurance companies. And there is this great person who deals with, who's a lawyer, advocate, who specializes in how we appeal AAC turndowns. So just because they say no doesn't mean we accept that. So those are my ideas.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. Go ahead, Barb.
So I don't know necessarily that suggestions need to be and or, but Jane's suggestions of her low-tech suggestions were many and mighty, and perhaps in addition to that low-tech system that would be in his pocket, because it would be small. There are lower cost tablets than iPads, as we all know, and like Android-based or Windows-based. And then Don Johnston has their improv program that's word-based, but it's also topic-based. So, it comes with all these different topics, but you could quickly program in topics that are interesting to him. And that might be especially great if the topics that you prepare for him, and they're all sentence or comment based, but they're all text. You can put in some icons, but really it is text based. The end.
Great. What other suggestions? Do people have questions about the particular individual that if you want to make suggestions, that would help clarify for you? What else are you guys thinking? Are you thinking about another individual who, like Bill from Jane's example, things that you've used with other individuals that you'd like to recommend?
I was just going to make a clarification on the cost of the apps. I think part of the family's concern is that an app is put on there and it looks really good and great, but then he doesn't carry on using it, and so it's looking that was probably wasted money. And so before putting out money, you're going to Medicaid or Medicare to really know that that's something that's going to be used. And so I think that was more of the issue with the
I think for any AAC eval, we trial it.
Yeah.
We want it trialed, make sure it's going to work longer than one visit. So we wanted to try it for quite a while and take data and see, how quickly does he quit using it if he starts using it, or can we figure out what decreasing the use of it. So none of this would be just to get and then try. We'd have to trial and see if it actually worked in the real world.
That would be good.
Barb, do you have another comment or question?
Well, Bummer Dude, that our only copy of improv was provided for us to demonstrate, not loan. And so, perhaps somebody could come, or he could come to Open Lab and give her a go there, and then if that's something that really trips his trigger, we could maybe help work with Don Johnston to get a trial, a trial copy or whatever.
Great. Now, Jane, did you raise your hand again, or did you? That's the only problem. I guess this is a learning for everybody. If you did, so you didn't raise your hand again. You did.
I didn't think I did, but I can't say that my finger didn't go roaming. I don't know.
Well, it's not just finger, but as the host with this new update thing is if you actually use the raise and lower hand feature under Manage Participant, it shows up for the host as this cool little blue thing. So I just want to make sure, because your hand is still raised according to the host thing, even if you don't have a roaming finger. There we go.
It said that on there too, and I didn't think I clicked on it, but I must have. So I pushed the cursor.
Okay.
Sorry.
Perfect. I just didn't want to miss an opportunity. Here's some great suggestions.
It just shows that there's always a learning curve on the technology for all of us.
Absolutely. Darcy, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking of more for the communication partners. I've got a nice little AAC responsibility checklist that sometimes helps, and it talks about the certain members. And for instance, looking at things like charging the system, you do a check mark, the programming, the daily setup, just a good little piece of information, because we want to, as part of the trial plan, is we want to put in an action plan that talks about who's responsible for doing what piece. And the other thing I was thinking is sometimes I've used just these little, like a dartboard icon. So if you're not quite familiar with what the individual's saying, the communication part breaks down, you can have an icon that says, getting closer, getting closer. Oh, you're way off. Like the 20 questions. And so he has a way to tell you you're way off. You're trying to guess what they're saying, but you're way off. The communication partner has no clue. And then, of course, you would say, well, go to your communication book and tell me what it is you're trying to say. Let's see. I was going to ask, would he have the ability to go on the internet? You'd say, oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you go to the internet and show me a picture of what it is?
I don't know. I think if you got him to a place where you were in an image collection or an image database, I think he could sort of maneuver through that, don't you think?
He maybe could. I'm not sure if he would always have internet accessible. He might be. He should. Okay. Well, maybe not. Sorry, maybe not. But yeah, that's an idea.
Yeah, that's all I had.
Thank you.
Just a suggestion. It's not novel or revolutionary, but knowing this individual and many of the individuals in that atmosphere at the ARC, I think he places high value on his friendships and the buddies that he hangs out with, both during his day activities and at the house. So if you decided to go with a low-tech kind of communication option, such as the topic cards, maybe introducing it to not him, but a couple of his friends too, and they would motivate each other, kind of seeing like, oh, did you see mine? Or I don't know, might help him motivate himself, but also motivate others.
That's a really excellent idea too, yes.
And then they can talk to each other about these things. I love it. The student becomes the teacher.
I love it. I was so excited to congratulate Hannah on the Echo that I couldn't even wait for you to come here. But we congratulated her, and we said she was so excited that she got into school. Well, she got into mini schools, but it's the school that she really wanted to. But I did tell them about the short little kind of, I wouldn't say leisure rope, but we want to get her back to Wyoming. The lasso, that's very Wyoming. So.
I know that you guys claim Hannah, but actually we claim Hannah.
Oh, yeah, that's probably true.
Everybody wants to claim that.
Yeah. It's true. That's true. We can share. Great collaborators and networks. Let's share. Great idea. Any other suggestions? Anything, additionally from Mary or Kirsten from Minnesota that you guys want to add? Things that you maybe have done with your adults or other students that you can think of that may be helpful to this situation?
Well, this is Mary. this is my first time with this, so I'm just kind of listening and getting to know how the process is, and guys are really great. I love the ideas.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just about problem solving and kind of resource sharing. And then I think, as you guys know from the ARC, please come up to Open Lab, try these things out, see what works, use the loan library. If there are other things that may be helpful in this situation, maybe helpful in other situations. And we don't have a ton of money. As Gail always says, I print money for the production of Echo, but I tend to print money, for the production of other things as well. We always have opportunities, and if there are things that we can help, that maybe he may be able to trial, we'd love to do that as well. So, and learn what works and what doesn't work as part of Echo. We want you to come back. So come back, maybe not in May, but definitely in September, and let us know what you guys figured out, what's working well for this individual. So.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, suggestions, thoughts? Okay, we'll go ahead and sign off. It's great to see all these new faces, and we'll see everybody next week, same time. Bye.